Welcome to another edition of Conversation Collage, the 42nd as a matter of fact, coming to you from Wenatchee, Washington, the apple capital of the world, the buckle of the power belt of the great Northwest, where it is snowing as we do this on this October 23rd. It's a light snow falling outside. I've never seen snow this early in the year in my life. It's a little jarring. Anyway, we're supposed to get somewhere between, I guess, a half inch and 4 inches, depending on where you are in the north central Washington state area. But in any event, I won't do any more of a weather report other than it's just a light snow. Great. Anyway, thank you for joining us. I think we've got a good one for you. This is our food and drink edition of Conversation Collage. A little later on, we'll talk about coffee and what makes a good cup of coffee and how you can make one for yourself and what goes into the coffee experience. We'll talk with a coffee consultant and gal who knows her stuff around coffee. We'll talk about that a little later on. First off, though, we'll talk about barbecue. Normally, when I do this, I'm talking on the phone to somebody that's hundreds, thousands of miles away. And here I am for the first time on this program talking to someone who I can almost literally reach out and touch because he's like right in the studio. Almost 7 feet away. That's right.
We practice social distance.
That's right. And if that's too close, I do have a mask right here.
Yeah,
so,
we're fine.
Gary Taylor is the other guy's name that you're hearing. He and I worked together at a radio station here in Wenatchee, and but Gary has. I feel like all of a sudden, what's my line? Gary has a side gig, you might call it, or a side interest, and it is barbecue. You're a barbecue guy.
Yeah, it's not really a gig. It's just a hobby.
Yeah.
I think ever since 50 years ago, hanging out with the old man over the Weber kettle in the backyard, it always seemed like a way, I think, for them to kind of get the family together. It was a tough thing to do, to get all the brothers and sisters and girlfriends, and barbecue always seemed to do that effectively. So... Yeah, over the years, it's just kind of something I've continued on with, and I found myself searching YouTube for barbecue recipes.
Was barbecue a major hobby before you started going into YouTube? I mean, have you always done it?
Yeah, at least once a week. Usually, if we cook, we like to cook outdoors,
right?
Often even in the winter. And, we have a covered porch. So, it's kind of been a favorite of ours for a long time. And through my searches, I found a lot of good recipes. I found that I got better and better. Quite honestly, there are quite a few meals that went straight in the trash. You learn by practicing. But my recipes, I do a pretty good job. So I thought, wow, I got a lot of my inspiration and recipes on YouTube. So one day I just pointed an old iPad 1 at myself and hit record. And the process begun. I don't know. I guess that was over 100 videos ago.
He's on YouTube. He has his own YouTube channel. That's why he's here to get you, the Conversation Collage listener, to go to YouTube and check out his channel.
I have a YouTube channel called GT's, GT''S, Barbecue.
Okay.
And barbecue spelled with a Q.
Okay, so it's BBQ? Or BARBEQUE?
So GT's Barbecue.
Okay. So spell out barbecue.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's spelled with a QUE, not a CUE like it's supposed to be.
I didn't know it was supposed to be CUE.
I think it is.
I always thought it was QUE.
But so it's a lot of fun. And, YouTube really kind of determines the success of a channel and how much they intend to promote it by how many subscribers they have, that person has. So it's free, doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It really helps out the channel. It's a place you can go if you have any interest in looking at my videos and lots of links to other videos.
So if you're into barbecue or would like to get into barbecue or maybe just need a new recipe or so, check out his channel.
Yeah.
And and we're not going to lie here. You get a few shekels out of it if enough people tune in and stuff like that.
Yeah. Probably.
We don't have to get into that, but it's because it's really nobody's business. But there is.
It is true. I am monetized, but just in case any of you want to venture into that world for the money, think hard, because I've been doing this about 3 years. I have about 1,300 subscribers, and I bring in maybe $50 a month in revenue.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about this, don't give up your day job, whatever you do.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be just barbecue. I mean, I call it GT's Barbecue and Cuisine because some of the stuff I do is on a flat-top griddle, a Blackstone griddle. I do some stuff in an air fryer. I have Weber kettles. I have pellet grills. I have actual smokers.
What's your favorite type of barbecue? I don't mean food. I mean the actual barbecue itself.
I get asked that a lot. It depends on the kind of food I'm going to cook. It depends on how much time I have. For a long, low and slow brisket cook, I kind of prefer my pellet grill because it's set it and forget it. I don't have to watch the fire. You set the thing like an oven at 250 degrees, and it'll run, in my case, because it holds about 40 pounds of pellets, it'll probably run close to 30 hours, and I never have to look at it. Yeah. So, but oftentimes I also like, if I have the time, to put a brisket on a standard smoker. So you're using wood, but you have to watch the fire. You're out there every 15 minutes, dial this back, get this, because the temperature is controlled by the amount of air that gets in.
Okay.
So I don't really have a favorite. It's like, what's your favorite kind of music? It depends on how much time, like I said. And then, the difference between barbecue and grilling.
I wanted to get into that because maybe we should define our terms here. What exactly is barbecuing? Well,
barbecue really started, I think 15th century, possibly even earlier, with, I believe it was in Polynesia, where they would bury whole pigs in the sand, cover them with leaves, put fire on top of it. So barbecue implies a low and slow, long cook.
Okay.
Grilling is traditionally done over a high heat. So low and slow is going to break down the fibers in the muscle. So over time, back in America, in the 30s, oftentimes the meat that we traditionally prize today in barbecue was considered throwout. The ribs, the brisket, the pork shoulders. If you don't cook those for a long time at a low temperature, they're tough.
Yeah.
So, they were kind of reserved for the help back in the day.
Right.
And a lot of those folks learned how to do it right. They go, wait a minute. So they picked up on some techniques that really the colonists brought with them from England.
Okay.
And back when we didn't have refrigeration, smoke was a good way to cure meat. You either had to do some kind of salt cure, or you would use smoke. So the salt cure is fine, but if you try to just cure meat in the sun, you're going to have a fly and an insect problem. So what they learned is if you have a little bit of fire going, a little smoke on there, it cures the meat pretty much the same as salt does.
Sure.
And and it adds that little bit of extra flavor. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to challenge yourself. It's something that a 12-year-old child can master, and it's something that in my case, a 65-year-old man can be challenged by. So
here's a kind of a deep question: is barbecue an art or a science?
I would say it's an art.
Yeah.
It's probably both. I think art is something that you get to a point where you are more skilled than others. And science is, as far as the science of it goes, it's meat and it's heat. So the science piece of it is anybody can do that.
Right.
But to make some of this food it takes some time. It takes some, I think, natural inclination. And, seasonings, my goodness, there are hundreds and hundreds of different rubs and different ways to season the meat.
Right, so. And the type of seasoning that you would have maybe is a regional thing because, different regions like different things.
Absolutely. The colonial Northeast, typically when they came to the Americas and they started to smoke meats, they would tend to sauce them with vinegar. So a lot of your northeastern or in that region, you're going to find more of a vinegar-based barbecue.
Okay.
And then as you move south, more down into Florida, you're going to see vinegar, but you're also going to see mustard. and in some cases mayonnaise, so some white. But traditionally, the Florida and southern areas are going to almost always, when they think of barbecue, they think of pork. Pulled pork, ribs, pork shoulder, pork butt, such things. In Texas and on the West, when you talk barbecue, immediately those folks think of brisket or beef. So beef ribs, beef brisket, of course, steaks and whatnot. So, and then, the different sauces for the regions, it's kind of what you grew up with. Mama made mine with vinegar. That's what I like. Mama made mine with mustard. That's what I like. And so you can experiment a little bit, but I have to confess, I tend to like the traditional Kansas City style, sweet heat, more of a traditional sugar rate.
Kind of a tangy type sauce.
Sweet Baby Ray's or something like that. So, and I make a lot of my own sauces. So again, from a hobby standpoint, you concoct these rubs, these mixtures of spices, and you come up with recipes for different kinds of sauce, and you figure out what you like. And it's a hobby. It's something to do, and it's fun, and you have to eat anyway.
Sure.
And, one of the things I find is I really save a lot of money because a lot of the leftovers go in the freezer. I do a lot of charity work. I do cooks for the fire stations. I did one for the sheriff's department. I've done them for hospitals. I've got an event coming up tomorrow. So,
let me ask you. You said about freezing. How do you reheat? Is it good when? Can you make it just as good when you reheat it? That's
a really good question. Yes, typically you can. You want to have some kind of a vacuum sealer. So go to Costco and get one of those little food saver deals. Otherwise, you're going to get freezer burn. And, I try not to freeze things too long. They'll last a year and a half without any problem. And honestly, the best way to reheat is to put it in boiling water. And just put the whole bag in there, let it come up to temp slowly, and then usually a serving temp of about 150 degrees is going to be about right. So don't use the microwave.
Microwaves are for reheating or just really
tricky. It'll work, but you want the temp to come back slowly. So, even you could thaw it first, but I like to just put the sealed bags right in a thing of water, boiling or not, and then just kind of wait until it comes up to about 150 degrees. In fact, boiling water, there's a process called sous vide where that's what they use to cook. So the water is at 200 degrees instead of a grill being at 200 degrees, and you put these bags down in there. So that's quite popular.
How long did it take for you to feel like you had finally gotten the hang of it?
I'm not sure I'm there yet. I have some things I feel like, and I think by getting the hang of it, you just need to define yourself. Every time I did ribs, I would try something new. I was always trying a new rub, always, and it occurred to me, I really just need to cook for me and my family. And so I have my rub that I use every time. I have my sauce that I use every time, my cooking temp, the times. So I've developed a technique and a system for ribs, brisket, pulled pork, my beans, most of the sides, that it's just how I do it every time. So you get consistent with it, and from the feedback I get, it's quite good. I personally think it's delicious. So do the neighbors, unfortunately. So
there you go. But if you wanted to learn how to do your own delicious barbecue yourself, GT's Barbecue.
GT's Barbecue and Cuisine. But GT's Barbecue will find it. I'm on YouTube, and then, just click on there, and there's a little button you click if you want to subscribe to the channel. Again, it doesn't cost anything, and then you can view all my videos, and you'll get a notification when I put up a new one.
How often do you do new ones?
I try to do one a week.
Okay. Gary Taylor, GT's Barbecue and Cuisine on YouTube. Check it out. Thanks, Gary.
Awesome. You betcha.
There you go.
Happy Halloween.
Gary Taylor is a friend. He is a coworker, a colleague of mine at a radio station I work for here in the area. And consideration for this chat with Gary is provided by GT's Barbecue and Cuisine. Conversation Collage available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Check us out. Check out earlier editions. If you can rate our program, we'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate a like and a comment. And